Yeah, just pulled up to Erlanger Hospital. I want to go ahead and show you the scene outside the emergency room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 police cars are out here, unmarked, sheriff's deputies and Chattanooga police. I watched as many of them rushed over here from Amnicola Highway just about 10 minutes ago. I saw one ambulance obviously rushing from the scene to get to Erlanger, really not too far away, only a couple miles away from where this active shooter location is. And with that ambulance, there was a heavy police escort as well. One more ambulance just pulled up seconds ago, and I watched as they brought a victim out on a stretcher. It was a black male on the stretcher. His head was propped up. The ambulance arrived with no lights on. He looked stable. David, thank you. As we were just showing you a couple minutes ago, a couple homicide detectives, actually 3 of them, left in an unmarked car, presumably to head back to the crime scene and begin their investigation. They had been on the scene here at Erlanger for the past 30, 45 minutes or so. And actually here you see one woman being escorted in with a local detective with CPD and appeared to be a nurse with their arms around that woman, now going into the ER entrance. We're likely to see more family members begin showing up here on the scene throughout the day. I was at the courthouse at 11 o'clock this morning about to meet with a homicide detective when I saw him rush out of the building and run out. Didn't know what was going on. It was supposed to be about something else that we were going to talk about. Saw him run out of the courthouse, speed away, and a couple minutes later find out he was responding to an active shooter situation. Just trying to get information from Erlanger Hospital, and in this police car that just pulled up front, in the front seat of that police cruiser was Mayor Andy Burke. Mayor Andy Burke was met by CEO of Erlanger Hospital, Kevin Spiegel, and then escorted inside the emergency room. So Mayor Burke, about an hour and a half after this incident first reported, now arriving on the scene of the hospital. There are 2 heavily armed police officers with Chattanooga Police Department guarding the ER entrance at Erlanger Hospital. They do have high-powered assault rifles in their arms. We went to go get more information from them. They turned us away. So Erlanger asking us to stay across the street where we are now, and we're going to respect that. This will be the media staging area for the rest of the day. We went up to approach CEO Kevin Spiegel with Erlanger to try and get a little more information on the situation. He referred us to the Chattanooga Police Department. This is an officer-involved shooting. It's very possible that officer is inside this hospital getting treated at this point, which leads us to believe it's possible that Chief Fletcher will come to Erlanger Hospital. Now, Chief Fletcher was in Knoxville today for some sort of gang meeting, I'm told, though he is rushing back to the scene. It's about, an hour, 45-minute trip from Knoxville, which means he should be arriving in Chattanooga just about any moment.
Hey, Dan, this is Jed. Let me just tell you, we were told... Can you hear me, Dan?
Guys.
Okay.
He's already
gone.
Yeah,
actually, this is Chief Fred Fletcher, just now arriving on the scene. Like we said, he'd be arriving any minute. That is Nathan Vaughn, also on the CPD command staff. Chief Fletcher giving a man a pat on the back. Chief Fletcher, like we mentioned, just arriving from Knoxville, Tennessee, where he had a previously scheduled meeting. If we zoom into the door, you can see Mayor Andy Burke is standing inside the entryway to the ER as he makes his way outside. Mayor Burke was one of the first officials to arrive on the scene. Police Chief Fred Fletcher now once outside again as well. And they're going to make their way down here, and we'll see if they're available to speak with us, but it's very possible they will make their way to the crime scene. Chief Fletcher, Nathan Vaughn were both in Knoxville earlier today for a scheduled meeting. Mayor Andy Burke arrived by police car about an hour ago. It appears, as other members of the media shout questions, that these 4 officials will not be speaking with us at this time. And good afternoon. Just speaking with a police source who says there was one police officer who was responsible with getting that officer's family to the ER. So we can confirm that officer who was involved in the shooting was indeed taken to Erlanger, and then a Chattanooga police officer himself was responsible for personally escorting that officer's family, as you can imagine, a difficult time, to Erlanger Hospital. Activity has died down quite a bit for that news conference. I want to scan over to the right and just show you what kind of lockdown we're talking about right now. This could very well in the coming minutes become a modified lockdown, not a full lockdown anymore. As Kelly McCarthy is reporting, this is no longer an active shooting situation. But you see Erlanger security personnel meeting with every car that comes down the street, and they've been doing that for some time, just to ensure that this lockdown stays into effect. This is something that Erlanger practices throughout the year, a mass shooting situation, a scenario, a mass casualty scenario, so they know what they're doing. Sergeant Wayne Jefferson, who's a public information officer with CPD, just arrived on the scene. I'm going to go get some information from Sergeant Jefferson and hope to bring that to you in the coming minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
I can tell you from a police source who I just spoke with on the scene that their police officer who was involved in this shooting is said to be in stable condition. So to repeat, that Chattanooga police officer involved in this shooting situation in stable condition, according to one police officer. A Chattanooga police lieutenant was responsible for driving that police officer's family here to the scene at Erlanger Hospital. Good news we can report from Erlanger, that police officer said to be in stable condition, family by his side, but Blood Assurance really needs your donations today.
That is the best news we've heard so far.
Yes.
Because we were all concerned, Dan, about the condition of that police officer.
The best thing you can do is call Blood Assurance or drop by because they need your blood at this time, and they've already sent over some today to Erlanger ER, but they are asking for more. That's the report from Erlanger Hospital. Back to you.
Dan Kennedy still at Erlanger, where they're now on a modified lockdown. Hey, Dan.
Lifted? We're trying to get some information from officers right now. We can. Okay, we're trying to find out if the situation, very fluid right now, if the lockdown is lifted. Officer, can you confirm? Lockdown, they're not confirming right now if the lockdown is lifted, but the armed guards that were standing outside the ER doors at Erlanger Hospital are now leaving. We can confirm through police sources that one police officer who was involved in the shooting is in stable condition and is going into surgery right now. That from a police source. The officer is in stable condition and going into surgery. The best news we can report all day long, though we're still waiting to hear an update on the condition of those others shot, and we hope to learn that from that news conference, which is scheduled to start in about 10 minutes. That's the story from Erlanger Hospital. We'll send it back to you in the studio.